Orlu Regional Assembly, USA, Ora. Inewe. Ayebra jado bolo we o. Orlu Regional Assembly. Igwe, ijege. Amami ke meme. Abreda peke tapara o.
Orlu Regional Assembly USA Incorporated was like that of other great associations, not without its fair share of false starts and twist turns. As early as 1982, according to Mazi Emi Ejakam, some students of Orlu origin studying in 2 Texas universities formed an association to support each other and push back against systematic racism they were experiencing there. This effort resulted in the formation of Orausa. In August 1995, Orausa, under the leadership of Dr. C.Y. Obiozo, reached out and invited Orlu people living in other parts of the US to a meeting with the goal of forming a national umbrella body. The meeting was well attended with guests from Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, among other cities. In 2000, members of Old Orlu Provincial Association Dallas, led by Dr. Acho Orabuchi, revived the Kotos organization. The interim chairman, Dr. Okehe, was absent and his vice, Attorney Obinna Doroji, took over and dissolved the interim executive before electing another interim executive led by Dr. Tony Anyinoha as interim chairman, Attorney Chris Nwachukwu as secretary. This executive was charged with drafting the constitution and organizing a national convention in Atlanta in 2001. The year 2001 was remarkable in the history of Ora USA, as it was the year the organization was known as Orlu Regional Assembly USA, also formally given birth. The 2001 convention was very remarkable as personalities like former Governor Achiku Denwa and Rochas Okorocha were in attendance to give their support as Orlu sons. This, the making and remaking of Orlu Regional Assembly USA Incorporated. The Chibu years 2001 to 2005 achieved so many, which include the stabilization of the association, diffusing tension in elections of presidents, looking inwards for chief launchers.
I am one of those people who believe in transparency, transparent accounting. I would never want any one of us to be questioned or our integrity questioned on the funds of Ora USA. That all monies raised for this organization must be raised and must be spent according to the rules and constitution of the organization and must be accounted for. And if you're not willing and ready to work, you need to resign. We work together, and it may interest you to know that throughout I was president, both the first and second terms, I never cast a vote in our executive sessions. I made it clear to them that I'm just the driver. And I believe in them after very healthy discussions to be able to vote. And we were always able to vote and carried out what the majority of the people wanted us to do. And that's why we succeeded. And let me say this here, it's not just the people here locally in the United States. When we started, I made it clear to the executives, and we sold that to the membership, that for us to be instrumental and effective contributors to the affairs at home, we must go back and sell Orausa to the leadership at home. And that we did. We brought it home through the assistance of Professor Nwuka and Green Iheka. We got to the governor, then one at that point. All of them were excited about what Ora was all about and agreed to be part of us. And as you know today, that Udenwa is our grand patron. Professor Nwuka is our patron. Green Iheka is our patron. With the help of these three gentlemen, whenever we had a convention, it now became, because they are patrons, because we sold the programs to them, how it will benefit Orlu area. They agreed with our programs. They were able to call each other, including this George Obioza that died. He was at one of our conventions, including Obi, the man from Amandoba, the first African millionaire with metropolitan insurance, James Obi, many senators, many House members at home, they bought into Ora program. And that's why anytime you say Ora, those people at home are still listening. They pay attention to what we're talking about and what we're trying to do. And building a very solid foundation for Ora was very important. And after we went to one of the conventions, Mr. Fonha, please forgive me, in one of our cities, we had a lot of people that the locals brought to the convention who climbed on the table and pledged 3,000, 5,000 and all that kinds of money, but they never redeemed them. They never paid it. And I came back and I told my executives, I said, why would Orausa have men of timber and caliber? Yet we always go on outside to go and beg outsiders to come to our convention and only eat our food, get up in there, pledge some huge amount of money, get a wonderful clap, and they never redeem their pledges. As a result of this, I looked inside and I went to Jeff Uju, my friend and my younger brother, and I asked him to be the chief launcher at the next convention. And he did. And as you guys could go back and look at the history from Judah Koechiyama to so many of us, all our chief launchers have become Umazi Orlu, including a few years ago, my brother in Atlanta. And those people who pledged, who are our members from Orlu area, 99.9% of them have redeemed their pledges. They are part owners of this organization. They took pride in Ora. And this also has aided in giving us the stability we need to be talking about 23rd, 22nd National Convention in 2023. I'm excited like a little boy on rice and sugar. So I hope I've answered your question. One of the most remarkable things we also did along the way was we also found out that most problems in most organizations were created during elections. When people who desired certain offices did not become president, they broke out and formed a new body. With the advice of our patrons, at a very spirited meeting of Orausa, our patrons, and some of our major contributors, we said, you know what? The problem is sometimes we get people who have never had an opportunity to serve any organization, show up and take something that is nicely built and destroy it. So let's now start an apprenticeship program and make the contest the vice presidency. Let us always find a good vice president to work with the current president, and that way is like an apprentice. And as you could see, in most cases, except in a few occasions where some ugly hairs were rare, but they were gladly and quickly put out of commission. The contest has always been the vice presidential office. And as you could see, after all these years of suffering, all these vice presidents have been able to succeed the president, and they have continued to do a much better job year after year. I believe that's a major accomplishment. Second accomplishment was that we set up, in accordance with the Constitution, the board of directors of Orausa. And along the way, the board members forgot what their job was and wanted to run the organization. And we, through the constitutional process, went back and adjusted and modified the Constitution in an open setting where the board of directors name had an attachment. They became the advisory board of directors. Their job now became clear. The chief executive and CEO of Orausa is the national president. Up until the time we changed them and defined them clearly as an advisory board of directors, the chairman of the board of directors at one time was trying to dictate to the union which direction and what we should do. And of course, we made it clear to him that he had to declare his position, declare his candidacy for the president, and if he won, he could do so. Otherwise, he's there to recommend. Thirdly, I can say we created a path for good characters to serve the union. And I would like to say that we set a foundation where even at the Los Angeles convention, it was a re-election period. There were a lot of rumors. We had meetings where funds were approved for the officers to use as part payment for flights, part payment for hotels. And these were approved funds. Interestingly, I never used one. I never used it. I paid for my suites. I paid for my rooms, paid for my flights out of my own pocket, and never billed Orausa. And I implored most of my officers to do the same if they were blessed enough to do so. And prior to Los Angeles and at Los Angeles, Chris Nwachukwu declared a candidacy to run for the presidency of the union. And I hate to say it, I believe I had a count. I would have beaten him, but God saved him and kept his honor to him. When the auditor finished giving his reports and the accounting of the organization's money, Attorney Chris rose to say, "I'm sorry, my brother. Thank you, Zechibu. You've done a wonderful job. Contrary to everything I've heard, you never touched our money. I am withdrawing from the candidacy." And I was re-elected on the post. I believe such transparency is a major achievement. And you guys have continued that way. Thank you.
The Iwunze years 2005 to 2009 also achieved the Homeland Summit, which was the first summit in Orlu town in December. Addition of new affiliates from 12 to 17, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Colorado, and Los Angeles. Other achievements include the pursuit of Orlu state creation. Number of members grew during this period, and also attendance to the convention. Due to the popularity of the organization at that point, election of offices became hotly contested. Apart from these remarkable achievements, the tenure witnessed a period of power tussle between the executive and board of directors and the birth of the so-called cabal in the association. The Iwunze administration did not appoint any patron for the organization.
When this organization started, the other story was, like I told, how the members of the executive then, we were able to pilot their affairs from that Atlanta. The first convention went to Chicago after that. And then finally, I was in Detroit, is where I was elected, the national president. And then in that Detroit convention.
That's in 2004, right?
In 2005.
Okay.
2005. And in 2005 convention in Detroit, there were 3 contestants who I contested with. And in that contest, there was Dr. Zumba from Houston and Chris Nwachukwu from Atlanta. They were the 3 presidential contestants. It was at that convention that I was elected the national president after the debate. At that time, the contest wasn't as, people, we called all the various affiliates, the delegates actually, because every chapter had their own delegates. So we're talking about the delegates, talking to different people, and eventually we convened. We had our debate on the floor of the House, and then eventually the election was conducted. In my administration, I had, it was a full list of my list of my executives, or my members of my executive. My vice president was Chris Onguzirike, who went ahead and succeeded me. Now the PRO was Chris Alekwe. The board chairman at the time was Edu Nebu from Detroit. And now on my committees, Ugonya Mobi served as the Orlu State Creation Chairman of the committee. Chris Anyam was elected as was selected as the chairman of the, he was the committee chairman for the projects committee, because at that time, my first work that I did, I actually was the very first president who did the Homeland Convention. And I did it within that first year of my election. That means after my election in Detroit in June, we did our convention the December of that 2005. We did our Homeland Convention in Orlu. And Chris, Onyamobi was the chairman of that, who was the member of the Orlu Summit. We called it Ora USA Alolu Summit 2006. We did that, and Ugonyamobi was the chairman of that Atlanta. Then Donadru, their list of members, I don't know if you need all that. I can name them if you want.
No. Okay.
So we were able to do that because what happened immediately after that, my selection, I moved to work with them because the Achike was very much interested in what we were doing, who was the governor of Imo State at that time. He attended the convention, and we promised him that we will support his project, who was building the Imo Orlu Teaching Hospital. And then we agreed that we will be able to do a project there. I went home during that period, met with the vice chancellor of the university, who was Professor Anguka. They gave us a plot of land. That is how we initiated that project that we did in Orlu. And in that 2006 that we did the convention in Orlu, we actually did the foundation laying ceremony during that convention in that very year at that teaching hospital, because that's where we held that convention. So it was the best, well attended by Orlu citizens as well as Imo State members that attended that convention. And then we started from there. The project kicked off. We raised some fund. That's how we, if you look at today, that there was, I think this thing was eradicated during the time of Chris. We had every affiliate that were paying $5,000 each time, what we called a project fund. It was started during my administration. Every affiliate paid that time, and then those who were paying part of it, portion, but we are raising that fund to be able to fund that project. We selected, and then eventually that project became more expensive. Then we had to scale it down, and then eventually did the one that we did, which is the Computer ICT Center, which was finally completed during the time of Ezewike. Yes. The addition of affiliates. I inherited 12 affiliates at the time, that I started. But by the time I left office, we had 17 affiliates.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was during my administration that we had Philadelphia. I went and chaptered the Philadelphia affiliates. It was during my administration that we had the New Jersey affiliates. New Jersey affiliates. It was during my administration that we added Washington affiliate.
Washington.
Washington, D.C. affiliate, yes. It was during my administration, we had Colorado. Now, but the thing is that by the time, before I ended office, the president of Colorado died. So the other members couldn't pick it up. They ended up, losing their membership because they were not forthcoming. It was like the president was the be all and end all there. So nobody else was able to pick up that chapter. So they dropped out after they were already registered and, brought in as a member of the affiliate. Now, there's one other, it was also during my administration that, we had lost, I think, it was during my administration that Miami had showed up during the convention in Houston, but they never registered. So it was during my administration they formally registered their membership as an affiliate. But they had attended the Houston convention, which was the last time when Chibu was the president. They came in as an observer status, and then after the meeting, it was during my administration they formally became a member. No, I take that back. I think Miami registered in Houston. So that wasn't my administration. It wasn't I take that back. Because I remember that they voted during the Detroit convention, which was when I became elected. Yeah. They attended, but then registered before that convention. So how many affiliates now did I get? 1, 2, Washington, D.C., New Jersey, Philadelphia, and Colorado. That's 4, right? And is there anyone I'm missing now? Which one?
Did you count Colorado in the 17 affiliates?
Yeah, that time, yes, it was.
Okay. So when
was Los Angeles still active then?
Yes.
Los Angeles actually dropped. They were part of the original organization. They dropped off, then later rejoined during my administration. So, but I didn't count it to be a member because they were there from the beginning. You understand?
Okay.
They were there from the beginning. But what happened between the time Chibu was there, some of them got angry for some reason or the other and never showed up again. So, and it was during my own time that they joined us. But I didn't add them as part of what, that it was me. Miami did the same thing. They also dropped off and then rejoined. But those ones I considered it to have been in the past. The ones that were original during my administration that I started and were able to bring in was the DC, was Colorado, was New Jersey, and then Philadelphia.
Okay.
Philadelphia secured the land during my administration for that ICT center. Now we laid the foundation. I have pictures to show that when we laid that foundation during that our convention, because we did it while we had that Orlu USA convention in Orlu. There was pictures to show for that very activity. Now, what happened was, while we were trying to raise funds for all that, to then start the project, it became by the estimates and quantity surveying that was done, the amount was too high. And we decided to scale it down to something we can start and finish. Because the amount they were giving us was in the neighborhood of 300 million, based on the type of structure we wanted to form or build. So by the time we scaled it down, this 2-year term and conventions that we are doing, we are not able to, other than that foundation we led. Then it was after, when my next administration, which was Chris, then we agreed on doing, that's when we finally selected the ICT center instead of the stadium type of classroom block that was originally designed. Okay. Because it was supposed to be like a stadium type of classroom.
Kind of amphitheater.
Yes, exactly. So that was very expensive. by the quantity surveyor estimates. So we decided we were not going to do that. We wanted something cheaper. So we ended up with the ICT center. Yeah. During that time, that was also during the time of Udenwa, because we had a robust interest in creating Orlu State. Now, we had this committee, which excellently Ugonya Mobi championed. We are liaising with the Orlu members and senators and the states. There were various communications between the members of House of National Assembly that were from Imo State. There were the senator from Orlu at that time was Ositis Naso. And then with the cooperation of the governor, there was a series of consultations, which really the governor also formed the committee on their side in Imo State, who was handling the Orlu State committee thing. So during that time, eventually, the process was ongoing. We were very hopeful that, the state would be created. Now, that committee also, I made it a permanent, it wasn't an ad hoc committee. I made it a permanent, I got a vote to approve it as a permanent standing committee. Now, we had budgets, we made sure that they were doing, Ugo did well. Now, I think after Ugonya Mobi contested for election to run against Chris, who was my vice president, I think when he lost, then he didn't want to continue as the committee chairman. So a new committee person was formed and was appointed, which was the Lady Augusta. Lady Augusta, excelled, put it on a higher than Ugonya Mobi did, because she eventually raised funds, bought a bus or a van, actually, for that Orlu State creation. That is, we donated to Imo State. Orlu, actually, not Imo State per se. We donated it to Orlu. That van was still being used by the chairman that was appointed by the governor from Orlu, who was coordinating the activities of that state creation, as part of our contribution to that movement. And eventually, that filtered, and as the government things do, when the governor who was pushing it was not there, everything kind of died off that way. But otherwise, we made humongous contributions to that very movement at the time, both financial contribution as well as infrastructure, because that van was kind of brand new that we gave to them at that time. I must tell you that have jumped during my own time, I topped what my predecessor did, because in the sense that we grew the organization in number, and as we were growing, more people were attending conventions, and it became more, because you say from the affiliate of 12, and it jumped to 17, you can see there are more membership coming in. So it became a need that the Orlu people within the US became more interested in using the convention as their annual, holidays or vacations. Yes, we started by, during the previous administration, the conventions were starting from Friday to Sunday. But during my administration, it started from Thursday to Sunday. And then after me, Chris started from Wednesday. So the dates we already started increasing. Now, you understand where the progress is going. It used to be from Friday. Everybody show up on Friday morning, and then we start till Sunday and Monday. Some people will leave Monday, but at least it was from Friday to Sunday. But now, during my administration, we extended it to Thursday arrival. Now, during the Chris administration, it started from Wednesday. That is, it was increasing days. It became longer. People taking it as a vacation. Now
it's Tuesday.
Now it's Tuesday. You see what I'm saying? So it's becoming a whole week project now, or a whole week vacation, instead of just weekend that we used to do it during that time. During my administration, we had a small hotel we were using that time because we didn't have enough number. We didn't have enough history of people, what we use as a reference point. So it was after my administration, because when Chubu was, we were using small halls here and there that were giving us, people at that time, because we didn't have the number. Now, during my own administration, we started increasing to the level of Holiday Inn or Marriott and all that kind of stuff. Then from there, we started having reference points of occupancy level for which they were able to give us something. Now, we're having a hotel that can accommodate us. You have to be more than 100,000, room hotels before you can even accommodate our convention. But before, we could use the Howard Johnson during the time of Chubu and increase to, multiple hotels that within the same vicinity to help us and have bigger halls. So those are some of the progress that we made. And I will tell you, frankly, that every president have added something to the what I would call the popularity
strength
of this organization, the strength of the organization. Yes.
Thank you. For
Onwuzurike was the third president of Orausa. Dr. Onwuzurike was one of the founding members of Orlu Regional Assembly. He made remarkable achievements such as tax exemption status, revenue sharing formula between the national body and affiliates, expansion of committees from 3 to 7, reduced the venue of the convention to 1. Chief Dr. Onwuzurike fought to ensure that Orlu remains 12 local governments. Under his administration, the homeland was established as a think tank for exchange of ideas between the home base and those in diaspora. The National Convention grew in attendance. The Onwuzurike inherited a board of directors that acts like a parallel government to the executives. This led to frequent friction between the board and the president. Chief Onwuzurike succeeded in amending the constitution to change the board to an advisory board.
Fidelis Ezewike was the vice president. Madam Christine Wiwu was the secretary. And Chief George Akuna was assistant secretary. Nze Philip Obilom, financial secretary. Chief Chidi Wameme was the treasurer. And Carl Ogbonna was the PRO. And Chimeze Duru was a parliamentarian. So those were the people in my administration. And then it was also at that period also that we were able to assemble a new board. Prior to my coming into office, we've had a board of directors, advisory board of directors that have served for 6 years, going into 7 years in office. And almost became a problem to running, to the executives, because the then board we are running a parallel administration. For example, every committee we have in the executive, they want to have the same thing, and their job was just investigation, and there was stagnation. And I give credit to our founding president, then the first president. Each of the presidents, there were things they did very good at their era when they came in. I think it took a strong guy like Gibson Chibu to withstood the level of pressure and pushback that came from and their whatever the sharing of power mindsets that the then board had, and it had to be somebody as strong as him to have been able to withstood the challenges that are associated with that. And then it was good. I was also lucky during Chief Emeka Iwuze's tenure. He was able to help summon a summit, a constitutional summit. And it was during that constitutional summit in Dallas that we were able to revisit the issue of the board versus advisory board, because there was a little conflict in the existing constitution where the board then, it was defined that they have the power for global policy. And they took that to different heights, believing that they have the power to do a lot. So when we went to that constitutional summit in Dallas, we were able to focus in delineating the role of the board. And to that effect, we made it an advisory board. And that's why even when you look at today's Orausa Constitution, I would say 40% of the pages of that Constitution talks about the board. And that was also intentional, because this was what we had to do to tame down and then to allow progress, to take place in Orausa. To a lot of the accomplishments, but I want to, I like the word challenges. There are so many. That's why, I like what is going on today. When I come in now and I see how things are flowing, when I see the level of success that we've attained and the progressive nature of things, I thank God that some of us paved the way and paid the sacrifices needed. What are the challenges? When we first came in, I already have enumerated about the challenges with the board. So one of the first things we did was we have to now help nurture in a new board of directors with a different mindset and let them know you are the fathers. But then you are not, you are just advisors. We'll consult you, we'll work with you. When we work together, things will work best. You must work with us. We shouldn't be working as adversaries, because now the Constitution does not give you the power to do that, but rather you are the fathers of the organization. Try to find and work with us, give us advice, and then understanding that it's not every advice that you give us that we're going to take. The ones that make sense, we will go ahead, and the ones that don't, don't stop advising, please. So we're able to, and the first challenge was, getting a very calmer, gentle board leadership under the leadership of Chief Emejuru as the chair, the board chairman, Chief Beke as the secretary, the late Teodoro as the parliamentarian. So those gentlemen, when we met with them and they understood their role, that challenge coming from the board, that internal problem we have got subsided. Then the other challenge also we faced was the risk associated with conventions. I watch us go to conventions in any kind of hotel. When we finish, then we're driving back and forth, bustling, moving people back and forth. People are driving in their own vehicles, drunk and all of that. Then I'm a corporate guy. I run companies, and I know, and I also know Orausa being a corporate entity, there are some liabilities here. So I had to think of what we gotta do to mitigate, liabilities. And I'm a problem solver. Everywhere I go, I cherish challenges. What people call problem, I call it a challenge, and my blood runs. I love to solve them. So when I came in, I identified all the issues, challenges. I said, okay, let's level them out. We took care of the board. Then we said, okay, we have emerged to a point now where we need to do a one-stop shopping, a one-stop thing where we do it in a hotel. And we started that in New York convention. I started preaching that when we went to Dallas. My last year of a VP as my OCOC, we did that in the Dallas convention. Then we did it in New York. It was still a work in progress. But after New York, we perfected it. And, the rest became history. Then we took care of that being in one place, hotels, the hotel issue. Then we came about again. We realized that, hey, I have assumed an organization that's supposed to be a nonprofit, but there's no 501c3. I said, how do we go about that? So that was another big challenge. We went in, we dug in, and thank God, what's his name? Stanley Dike, who's a financial guy. I think he was a committee member of something of sort. Then we brought him in. He helped us, to pursue our 501c3. We were a nonprofit, but we didn't have a 501c3 status. So we did everything we had to do. We got that. So we're trying to say, okay, this machine, this building, the foundation's got to be right for us to begin to rise up. So we took care of the 501c3 issue. Then the next thing we know is, okay, we're seeing a convention where although people in the US everywhere, there are a lot of them. When we converge and if we have a good market, they will come. But then they can be coming, and then when they come, they raise money. We do 50-50. I didn't like the idea of the 50-50. I didn't think we can grow Aura with that 50-50 venture. And when I mentioned it, it was a taboo. You can't say that. I said, okay, don't worry, I will say it. Not only saying it, I will do it. So we have to look at a situation where we have so many at that time, I don't know, maybe 12 affiliates or so. So if your brothers, if your brothers, your people, they come to visit you, you get to host them once every 10 years or every whatever. So you mean you can make sacrifice to host them and then take a little bit and let them use your space to raise money for our cause? Why must it be 50-50? So those were the arguments that we were really looking at. So I thought about it as, okay, I know what the constitutional mandates were. So we made the 90-day constitutional amendment, but they didn't know what's in the proposal. So then during the 90-day process, we shoot that out. So, but they didn't know how it's going to go. It wasn't the usual constitutional amendment. So being a business person, somebody that also very aligned to ITs and all of that, that's when I started this PowerPoint that we're enjoying today in Aura. My first business, our first convention was in New York. The first agenda that Saturday morning, constitutional amendment, because if we don't make it, if I don't get that mandate, it's a waste of 4 years or 2 years of my time, because I know. Then how do we sell it? We came in, we told the affiliates. And before then, which I'll talk to you about later, we've already established many committees. We've already had a very vigorous, aggressive vision for where Aura is going. We're talking about Aura convention where we spend, we have a budget. Most cases we do 10,000. We have a budget of 3,005. At the end of the day, affiliate, if we do good, affiliate get 1,500 of their 50-50. So that's when I came to the affiliate. I said, what I see, I still have that PowerPoint presentation. I can find it. I said, I see an aura that when we come to a convention, we'll be talking about revenues, 75,000, 100,000. And we're talking about, now Aura has projects. Let's designate 50% of those revenues, profits, to Aura projects. Then the other 25% to Aura administration, to run the administration of Aura. And then the other 25% to the delegate and to the affiliate, the host affiliate. I said, that's enough. So that way, when we come here, people will put in more money, knowing that 50% of it is going for Aura project, because that's what we're here for. So it was a tough sell, but we kept selling the idea, pushing it to the point eventually. We also try to explain to them. And my analogy then was, would you rather be a 50% owner of a business that's worth 10,000? Or would you rather be a 25% owner of a business that's worth $1 million? So that was the analogy we used to sell, because Aura is about to grow and the profits is going to be bigger. And 25% is going to be way bigger than what you're going to be getting on this low level 50% scale that we're in. So we went in. Unfortunately, because of the politics that was going on then, that's when Aura was really very, very politicized. We had, and you know how our voting starts. When we start our voting, we start alphabetical: Atlanta, Austin, Boston, Baltimore, all of that kind of stuff, alphabetically. So it was scary because the first affiliate we called them was Atlanta. Atlanta said no. But before even this, we took a break and have every affiliate and their delegate and their members deliberate. And I told them, I'm not moving forward with this convention until we make that decision. So we took over an hour break. They're dilly-dallying back and forth. We came back for voting. Atlanta voted no. Then was okay, let's go to the next one. Austin voted yes. Everybody started voting yes. That's how we secure this thing today. And I have to say this. I was touched from this last convention that was held in Baltimore. I was looking at the revenue from the HOD meeting, where the revenue was $260,000. I was like, oh my God, these guys have gone far beyond my, my dreams and the goals that I had. But that is all good. So these were some of the challenges that we met. And then the biggest challenge also I had somehow on my second term in office was what we call ihe shinulo, where a very performing president. I mean, it's not even a situation of that lizard that fell from Iroko tree and look around and nobody was praising him. You say, you know what? If nobody praises me, you know what? I'm gonna praise myself. It wasn't even that situation. I knew it. You knew it. Everybody knew that this is a different president and he's performing very well. But then my local affiliates, that wasn't going well with them. So that Ihe came about. And they were about to truncate the success of Aura. They were about to truncate the progress of Aura. They were about to, shut everything down. But thank God, despite all the mago and everything that went in, the good people of Aura USA, they used their good judgment and did what was the right thing, and that decision they made today. But then, it wasn't just Aura making a decision. Aura also is an organization. Our constitution is very well conceived. Our constitution has been tested in the courts of the United States. Okay? And it has been tested several times, and the judges were like, who are the people that conceived this constitution? They know what they're doing. I mean, it is there. For the first time, you see, I'm a guy where I say, use me, or I use me right on my back to make sure we achieve whatever we needed to. And we did that. It was during my tenure that people realized that Ora has a Supreme Court. People didn't know that. Ora has a Supreme Court that once that Supreme Court speaks, it's over, it's final. It's in our Constitution. And that's what they call DRC, Dispute Resolution Committee. But it's also who are involved. People don't even understand how that works. I was a party to writing the Constitution, so I know the Constitution of Ora. And that's why I advise anybody that want to lead any organization, first understand the Constitution. I know Ora Constitution front and back. And I knew that I knew my rights were being protected at DRC as an executive of Ora, and then also executive, and then as our Ora affiliate. Your rights are protected, not just as individual, but daily executives and their affiliate themselves. So we went through the DRC. DRC also determined that the issue with Ezinwanne has no merits. They have no standing to stop my re-election. So DRC made a declaration and put me in the ballot when Ezinwanne said they don't want me to be on the ballot, and they have no reason. And then the only reason that they could ever use is indebtedness, but I was not indebted, not to Ora, not to Ezinwanne. And DRC went through all of that and determined that, yep, he should be on the ballot. They placed me on the ballot. Then the Ezinwanne group, the Palola factor again, was not enough. You asked me about challenges. That was a huge challenge that almost, deflected everything we are trying to do. When that decision didn't go well with them, they went to court on the week of the convention coming to Washington, D.C., to put an injunction so that I will not stand as a candidate of election representing them. We went to court, they filed a lawsuit. I came back, and we just came back from swearing in, May swearing in, May 29 event for Rogers' first administration. So one went. Came back, trying to carry my bag, pack my bag to go to Washington, D.C. Nope, I had to answer to the court. I went to court with them. And then it was at the courts. The judges then went through the whole thing and said, what is this about? They said, then they talked, the judge looked at the DRC, and the judge said, this is very interesting. This organization realizes that dispute may arise. And they put things in place to resolve those disputes when it does arise. The judge said, I'm very, very impressed. Then the people from Ezinwanne, they said, oh, but he put his people there. He put all his friends there in the DRC. The judge said, you know what? Why don't you run for office? Win the office, put your people in the DRC. So the judge then at that point put his gavel down and said, this is a frivolous lawsuit. He asked my lawyer, how much did this guy pay you to, for you to come and defend him? Then at that point, he gave those guys, he gave them 3 days to pay that amount to this lawyer. So these are the challenges. Talk about challenges we went through. Then, after we left the court, the day before we reached on Thursday evening again, before the House of Delegates get together, Ezinwanne sends an email again to Ora and saying, we are not coming to the convention, therefore we have no delegates, we have no candidates. You see the interesting part of that? Then the Ora House of Delegates at the convention in Washington, D.C. say, you know what? Yes, whereas Ezinwanne is not here, we have a candidate that's been duly certified and on the ballot, and the show goes on. So people don't know these histories, but they are very interesting. Some of us have suffered for this, just to fight to get order where it is. So there are many challenges, but I think I want to stop this far so that you guys can ask your other questions here. First of all, when I came into Aura, my administration, we only inherited maybe three standing committees. But through the vision that I had, I expanded the committees. I expanded, I added more than 10 new committees, up to 12 committees. And so and all those committees are here now today. One of the committees that also we put together, we inherited the Imjiaba Creation Committee. That was an existing ad hoc committee, but we perfected it to a point where, and that was the time when we thought the new state creation was attainable. And they made us to believe it was attainable. And being a vibrant organization, we did we did the best we could to support such. And that's how we ventured into our first project, where we bought a van and gave for the cost. Okay, we moved on again. To be relevant at home also, because we wanted to be a pressure group, but we didn't want to be a pressure group that just sit there and keep on throwing blames. We want to work with them, show our relevance, and then as we more asking, the closer we get to them, the more we'll be able to work with them and be able to talk to them for changes that we believe will be best for the communities. So we embarked on ICT Center also project. I conceived that before before I came into office, there was this big elephant project called the auditorium project that Aura USA could not afford. The drawing is as big as this. The amount of money we're talking about, we couldn't do it. So when I came in, I said, you know what? Instead of us sitting here trying to do monumental projects, let's go to the IMSUD and find out what they need. I went to IMSUD. I met the then administrator there, another friend of mine who works there. I said, well, we're trying to do something in this campus. What would be the most needs? Then that's when they say ITC Center, the students need a place to go. So we conceived that project, we built it. I couldn't finish it before I left, and I'm so glad my predecessors, Sir Fidelis as the Wiki administration, he finished it where I stopped. And I thank him for that. And that's the difference between what we do as civilized people compared to the way the country is being run. Governments after government, they don't believe in continuity. Nobody want to pick up any project that his predecessors or people before them, unfinished projects. If you start, if you don't finish it, that project is gone. But I'm glad that we're able to lead here by example. In Aura USA, I started a project, then Sir Fidelis administration came in and he finished it. We also talk about projects. When I came into office also, there was a Reverend Father Nonom, that was very close to my administration, my first term. And he was very excited to see what he can do to help. Then he was the one that approached me that he's working with some groups that are doing medical mission. How come we can do that? So I told him I like that idea. And at the time, we were working on, that time I had Sir Chris Anyam. He was the chairman of Aura Projects, which is the ICT Center. So, but then when medical mission came, I said, you know what? This is a project. I can't just, make it a medical thing. So I want to put it under your leadership, under your committee. So I funneled the medical mission through him, through that committee. So, and thank God he did a very good job along with our brother, late Chief Dr. Obokri. All these people, selfless a lot of time in making sure that that program survived, along with our current president now, Dr. Nebu, and many others that came after. So we did that. Even when I talked about the ICT Center, I must not fail to give credit to people very close to me that worked along. Saib Bezim was very, very instrumental. Chief Akaraka Gibson Chubu was also very involved. They brought in their technical knowledge, helping us with Anyam to make this in a dream, come true. So the medical mission is a big project that I envisioned. I started that. Projects, we're talking about convention. We made other convention. We changed the landscape and the mindset of what other conventions originally was supposed to be. When we started these conventions, we used to arrive on Fridays. And then Sundays, everybody is vamoose, we're gone. It is during my administration, again, we started to expand the convention. First, we started expanding from Tuesday and Wednesday. Then now I can see the convention now taking off from Tuesday, Wednesday. People are coming. But before, we all used to arrive on Fridays. Some people even arrive on Saturday morning. So is that a project? It's an accomplishment. And it's a standard, a gold standard that we put out there, that is still out there, up and going. We started the youth program. We started the youth program to where we started to come to convention. We started to find things that our children can do. I had to get them involved. We also started the women program. I started up when I brought in Chief Mrs. Akoechama to help me with that program. We built the women program. We got the women uniform. We developed the microfinance program to where we're helping widow women and some disadvantaged other women back home. And it was more of we did all of those. And those were relevant projects. Before then, before I came to office, we've had one summit under Chief Emeka Iwunze's administration. But when I came in, I expanded the summit to where now we're getting more involved with other people. The Orlu's Rume youths, we have them to get involved in our summit. I think it was our summit when our brother Owele, running for governor, came, addressed us. There was a lot of stuff we did. And basically, we were trying to, it was an opportunity for us. The summit mindset is a think tank session to where those of us from diaspora, we come home, we meet with the home-based people at Auntie. We discuss and forge ahead, way forward on things to do for our Lolo. Unfortunately, that program did not really take off as it's supposed to, because we come, then the people at home, they don't come. I understood there was a time issues with that. It's a busy time for them to do other things, so they kind of relegated that to, to a lower level. So there were other things we did. I remember when Hakim was the governor. You know how the distribution of local governments. Orlu has 12. Okigwe has 6. And the other people, Owore has 9. So what did this guy do? Hakim came in, he took 3 from Orlu and to put it into Okigwe. He took Wangele, Idato, North and South. So we fought against those. Under my administration, we get science in Nigeria involved. We get legal people involved. We fought against that delineation, until when he saw we put ad, newspaper ads and all of that to fight against this. So those were things my administration did. And there are numerous other things that if I sit here to tell you things we did, we were a very busy administration, very busy. We're busy getting things done. And they're repositioning us to become the premier, laying these foundations that will enable us to become the premier organization that we are today. So that much is what I can share with you. The growth, it started a little bit from New York. in 2010. That's when we started having official program before Friday. Before it used to be on Friday, we have the convention get kicked off on Fridays. But I wanted to, share with you my involvement also. Prior to now, I was involved in 2006 in Detroit Convention as a, also involved in Boston Convention 2007 as a VP, Baltimore 2008 as a VP, Dallas as a VP. I became president in that convention. And then 2010 in New York was my first convention. Then we went to Washington 2011, Philadelphia 2012, then Miami 2013 when I handed over the power to my, to Fidelis Ezekwe. So I can't say there was sense of interest, but it was more of it was when we started to, experience the gradual growth, how the convention started to expand from from Friday to Thursday to Wednesday, and now it's on Tuesdays for some people. So I believe it was from that, we started to expand activities of the convention, table tennis and different things started happening, where the late Dr. Ernest Ndikwe, my good friend, was involved in organizing the sporting activities that took place. Was on Fridays, then we moved it as the days extend, we move it back. So we really have experienced a lot, but all these experiences are pretty much progressive, very growth oriented.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's talk about the election of your successor. It was just like your own election was tough. I was there. I was also there when your successor was elected. Wasn't as contentious as your own, but it was equally one of the elections that tested Orausa resilience. So how did you see your successor was elected? And any lesson for Orausa from that election?
Yes, it was another intriguing, a very exciting election period. But by and large, I want to tell you something about our USA elections. For those of us who are very, into it, when you go into these oral elections, your goal is not to, not to have a landslide. Because landslide doesn't augur well for the organization. We want to make it interesting. And remember, all you want is, that's really our mantra, 50 plus 1. 50 plus 1, then you win. So what made the Aura that election year very interesting was some of the things some individuals wanted to do. We as an organization, we've already have some systems built in place. And we also have a constitution that we are running. In that constitution, we also have things in that constitution. In that constitution, really, other USA constitution is designed in a transitional way. Built in a transitional way to the point that where the vice president, the assistant secretary, those two individuals, those two positions they do the heaviest lifting in the organization. And the Constitution, knowingly or unknowingly, is a transitional one and is built that way to put those people, on a test, to whereby if they successfully do their job as a VP, you shouldn't have a problem becoming our president. You successfully do your job as an assistant secretary, you will not have a problem being the assistant secretary. And what makes the job heavy is the way we run the organization. Okay, you're a secretary, you are expected to write a lot of meeting minutes. But other general secretary probably writes, don't even write up to 7, don't even write no more than 6 or 5 meeting minutes in a year as a general secretary, because he writes the one for the House of Delegates and then the convention. But then here comes this assistant secretary who is also attached to OCOC. And our OCOC starts earlier on, and the OCOC is where the affiliates, the hosting affiliates, and the ones that will come after, they all get involved. The assistant secretary gets to write these minutes. Every other week or every week they hold their meetings for so many months. So at that point, he or she is being tested. There's a lot of heavy lifting there. The same thing with the VP running the OCOC. Being in charge in the affiliate drive, the VP is given so many opportunities to succeed or fail. So knowing that premise, as the outgoing president, I looked into my executives and I talked to all of them and said, okay, election will be coming. Who wants to be what? Who's interested in continuing and at what capacity? So we had those conversations. Fidelis showed interest, as he already served very well as a VP, and he showed interest to continue into the next. When you do well, you get promoted. So apparently, I talked to other members. Lady Augusta was one of the people on my team. She was the chair lady of our India State Creation, a very powerful committee, very active then, one of the very, high visibility committees then, based on what was going on. So she came to me, she said she would like to run for VP. Then I said, no, you can't. This is the reasons why. And I told her my promise, I want to make you the first woman president of Orausa. This is what you need to do. Don't run for president, run for VP. You have my ultimate support. You make a good VP, and that gives the women opportunity to be, to ascend to that office the fastest. We agreed, and everything was well. And then I talked to other members of the committee, the executives who expressed different positions. Then later on, Lady Orausa came back to me and said, you know what, Mr. President, I've thought about it. I don't think I want to run for VP. I'd rather run for the president. I said, wow. So I said, so what do you expect me to do now? My allegiance and my support is with my VP, who served well and I believe is capable of doing the job. You will not get my support if that's what you want to do. And it's going to, we talked about it. She said she understands, but she's going to continue. So that's what made the election, I think that singular decision made the election very, very interesting. So, and then at the time too, we had a little, misunderstanding in the president's group, former president's group, a situation where my Meku, whom I was his vice president, during his time, and he went to Chibu and he was asked, who do you want to be the vice? and he said he would support Chris Onwuzurike. And everybody flagged behind Emeka and the administration. And it was my turn. They asked me, Emeka and Chibu and everybody, and Akaraka, they asked me who. I said, my choice is my VP. Then that's where the problem started. Emeka said, no, he will not agree. I said, why wouldn't you agree? When it was your turn, you said who you want, and everybody flagged around you. Why now? Why wouldn't you come flag around me? Why we want to bring this division? So, and that's what started the whole process. Emeka took out on his own and said he singularly will make Lady Augusta the president of Ora USA. He tried. But don't forget what I told you about our formula, our winning formula, 50 plus 1. So the rest was history. So that's what happened. Some of us, we love Ora with passion. Until we take our last breath, we're going to be Ora. And that's how it's been. So before, after, and during, we're going to be continue to do that. So being an Ora stakeholder, being an Ora insider, there's a lot involved. The intrigues, the politics, and the involvement is a 24/7. It's a year-round. You just don't come out. And there's an election, you come out, you want to get involved. You know, as I speak to you, I'm not bragging. Myself and some of us that have been labeled cabal and whatever, we have the DNA of Ora USA members. We know who is who. We've done our homework and we've been involved. We are in it and we continue to stay in it. We know who is involved. We know what they are what. We know their weaknesses. We know their strengths. So when certain individual comes out, they want to hijack the organization. And we know individuals in Ora whose interests are what, hey, guys, I'm here, use me. What can I do to help? And there's another individual, another group that say, hey guys, I'm here. Get out of the way. I want to see what I can do for me. You see, them are the people we have problem with. And those are the individuals that throw in the mud because they're trying to kick us aside so that they have seen some little progress that Ora have made. They want to stifle it and they want to, hold siege of that. And we weren't going to let them because we have not finished building. We are still, we're still at the growing stage. And being at the growing stage, we need all hands on deck. Clean hands, honest hands on deck. Hands that are saying, this hand is a hand of helping. We want to help Ora grow. Not coming in here saying, let Ora help me. Ora is about time Ora help me. What can Ora do for me? That's really the differentiator of all of that. So we fought against those. Where I wasn't mad. It was more like, okay, we know these characters and we know what they're trying to do. We will not let them succeed. I will not let evil. Evil will not succeed. And they didn't. So that's what the war was all about.
Thank you.
From 2013 to 2017 came the reign of Chief Sir Fidelis Ezewike. Chief Dr. Fidelis Ezewike is the fourth president of Orlu Regional Assembly. He won in a hotly contested election in Miami, Florida by 2 votes margin. Chief Ezewike, as his achievements, initiated the use of the name tags in the organization's convention. reorganization of the Women Committee, he worked hard to grow the USA family. He created Political Action Committee to liaise with Oluzurume and other political groups at home. Dr. Ezewike completed the ICT project started during the tenure of Chief Onwuzurike administration. The administration continued and expanded the medical mission in 2015. The medical mission was conducted twice to ensure greater coverage, increased fundraising capacity, initiated the printing of brochure, sponsorship, and waxing of music to generate funds.
I believe it was in Houston, Texas. It was in Houston, Texas, when we formally requested to host the ORA-USA convention in South Florida. And the next one was in Michigan, when Emeka became the president of ORA-USA. And from there, we went to Dallas during a convention. And no, it wasn't Dallas. But anyway, that's what all I know right now, all I can recall, how we joined the convention or the organization and during the convention in Chicago. My deacon, I wouldn't want to, recount on the election atmosphere because it wasn't really a pleasant one. The organization would have gone separate ways. But as God may have it, that didn't happen. There were a lot of fracas at the other election in Dallas, Texas in 2009, I believe. And when I became the vice president, there were 4 candidates that ran for that same position as vice president. And I emerged. And my total count of vote was more than 3 of them. So that's when I know that ORA-USA really want me to be their vice president. That's when I went to work for ORA-USA. That's basically my second, that election really gave us that convention practically made us believe that we can do more. My president was Chris Onwuzurike. He's a very, very fast thinker. I, myself, am a doer. I think and I do. It's also a doer. We looked at the convention, including yourself, because I think you were, one of us when we first started. Yes, you won that election too. Was it, yeah, I think you were there.
No, I joined on your second term.
Oh, you joined on my second term, okay.
Yeah.
So during the first term, we looked at the overall convention atmosphere and what went on in Dallas. We felt that we need to modify how this convention is being held. Well, as far as the financial is concerned, Chris put on his thinking cap and he came up with how the proceed will be divided. I guess with the formula of 50, 25, 25. 50 goes to our project to avoid the organization to continue to tax our affiliate organizations for the project we have. So 50 will go to that project and 25 will go to the host affiliate and 25 will go to ORA-USA. That was the brainchild of my predecessor, my boss at that point, Chief Chris Onwuzurike, and he has actually taken ORA-USA where we wouldn't have been, to be honest, because taxing people could be very, very destructive to the organization. And as you see, there is no more taxing of the affiliates. The convention is where we, receive our finances, and it has worked perfectly well. I want to thank him for bringing that. Outside of that, we did a lot of creative things. In my office as a vice president of Orlu USA, I made sure that we have a system where all our people will be recognized. If you're passing by, I look at you, I know exactly your name because you're wearing your tag. That's when the tag system started. And also, we want everybody that enters the convention to see, you don't need to know who is this. We had a tabletop names on the table for all the officials. We created one for the board members. We created one for all the officials and the board members. When you walk in, people are sitting on different chairs. If you look at their desk, you will know that is Chris Onwuzurike, president of Orlu USA. You can look at the next person, or that is Fidelis Ezewike, his vice. You can look at Charles. I know you weren't there then, but this person, Charles, you look at the name, you know what they stand for or what office they're occupying. So those are the systems we put in place. At least I haven't seen that since we left office, and since when I became the president, we continue with that pattern. And also, people wear their tag immediately they come to the office. That system started in New York. That was our first convention. We continue with that system, moved to Washington, moved to, I believe the next convention after Washington was Philadelphia. And then we ended up coming back to Miami for the second, the election that brought me into presidency. Just those systems were there, and they continue. So basically, those are the things that I can point out about my election to the president and the vice president. Those my election as a president could have been very, very destructive, because there was a lot of politicking. There were a lot of, brotherly and supposed to be nourishing to all, affiliate members and also to all executive members. So after the election, I put on my thinking cap. I thought about a lot of things that I promised that I would do for Orlu USA, which I accomplished most of them. I find a way to get a lot of people involved. I admitted 2 or 3 this thing. North Carolina was admitted into our affiliate. I believe some other affiliates came in too. I can't remember them right now, but our history is there. We'll be able to find out the year they came in. So basically, I made a lot of money for Orlu USA. During my vice presidency term, my superior, my predecessor, who is Chris Onwuzurike, was handed over a project to accomplish. And he did that, he accomplished. He started the building at the technology center.
Yeah, we'll come to projects. Let's
okay. So
proceed.
basically, we made enough money that we didn't have to go back during my presidency to ask any affiliate to tax their members to bring money. So thank you. One I started was, remember I told you when I get into the office, there was an agreement to have PAC, but it was in paper.
I guess you are talking of Orlu USA People's
Orlu USA Political Action Committee. The letter changed the name, but that was the name at that point.
Yeah.
So
it was the advocacy committee.
So basically, when I came in, but there was a paper to have such committee. So I got in. That was one of my, five-point agenda. So I organized the group. I brought in Amechi. I brought in this guy from New Orleans. Actually, my nephew was the secretary at first. Steve from New Orleans wasn't. It was okay.
Steve Wezoke.
Yeah, wasn't the secretary at that point. But my nephew wasn't attending meetings.
Who is your nephew?
August Austin Onyejaka.
Oh, okay. From Detroit.
Those are the three founding, members of the park. But every affiliate brought in a member to represent them. But those are the executive of the park. So Amechi wasn't calling meetings either. And I needed that to really be functional. So one day, when Amechi get into the conversation, he started playing politics.
Is it Dominic Amechi?
Dominic Amechi, yes.
Okay.
Dr. Dominic Amechi, Dr. Dominic Amechi.
He
started playing politics.
Yeah.
He wants to go after this politician. He wants to go after that politician. That wasn't the purpose of the park. What the purpose of the park for us to be agitators of good governance in Nigeria. So along the line, when Steve became the secretary, I made a trip to Nigeria. I engaged Orlu's youths. 4 of them came to my house. I entertained them and gave them money and told them that I would get them in touch with Steve Wezoke. So, okay, let's go. Let me mention Romanus
Wazo.
Wazo was
the one
secretary of board.
Okay.
That's the person about that time. So I just want to make sure that your record captures him.
Okay.
So it was a good administrator for us in the board committee. So I engaged the children, the youths in Imo State. So, and came back and engaged them when Steve Wezoke became the chairman of the committee. The first trip Wezoke made, they have invited me to come to their launching and their it's not campaign, but they did
rally.
Sorry, rally. They did a launching.
Okay.
And I gave them my own personal money, and they invited me instead of myself going, because I will be representing the Aura. We gave Steve Wezoke some, financial benefit, and also this guy from New York, Dr. What's his name again? I keep forgetting these people's name. Well, their secretary was Dr. somebody in New York. So we gave them money to go.
Is it George Hakam?
George Hakam, yes, that's him.
Okay.
We gave them money to go to that event. And I kept working from my office as the president, working with the youths, Orlu's youths. They wrote us one time and told us that the governor, was it Rochas, want to move our university, move the university to somewhere else. We got the youths involved through the park. We also got, did a publication in Nigeria to stop that action. And he did. He stopped the action. That is one achievement that I think I did as the president of Orlu USA, making sure we have a functional park group that are involved in agitation movement. Now, another project that I think that we were very, very successful in, we didn't start it, is the completion of the technology center and also the furnishing of the technology center. Actually, the building was roofed before my presidency, but the roof was leaking and we had to redesign the structure, remove the roofing, redesign the structure, and completed the building, and it was launched during my presidency at Orlu during one of our summits. So that's an achievement that I think my presidency brought to the organization. My achievement also we continued medical mission in Nigeria. We had, at the time, we had 3 medical missions, and at the time, we went on a medical mission. The only time that we have gone to medical mission in May, because we didn't have medical mission the previous year. We went to medical mission in May, went to medical mission in December, 2 times in a year during my term, and captured almost 5 local government areas, or either 5 or 6 local government areas. So those are accomplishments that we did. And also, yes, we left, we couldn't finish 1 year because we ran out of medication, and we had to go back in May. Not only go back to do the little that we did, but we go back and captured more places during that May period. But I don't think running out wasn't really, I don't think running out was my term. I don't recall, but I know that we had that episode of running out of medication.
That was 2015.
Okay,
December.
2015, December, yes, we ran out, and we have to go back 2016, May. And the reason why we ran out, it was because not really, because we thought that Ebola will not bring a lot of people to come to the medical mission. So we underestimated the crowd. So we had to go back to make sure we accomplished more in May.
You're right.
The
response was overwhelming from the local populace.
Yes. So basically, those are the things that we did. And also, during my term, we made sure that we don't really contest for presidency anymore, unless the person is very, very bad. If the person is bad,
you mean the vice president?
If the vice president is bad, we look elsewhere. But if the vice president is very, very, people's person and very, very, hardworking, we promote him to presidency without, having somebody challenge. Because he had a lot of challenges, actually, my vice. But we made a lot of, what do you call it? We had a lot of meetings with the contestants and explained to them that we don't want to destroy our organization. We want to move forward, and we want to make sure that everybody, understand that we don't need to destroy ourselves because of election. So if somebody works hard as a vice president, we should be able to allow that person to proceed to the, ascend to the presidency. So I don't recall any other. I think those are, we're talking about 4 years term. I think those are enough. And we made a lot of money. We had, when I left office, I left over 200 and something thousand after actually achieving the building. I had my first convention, the governor of Imo State gave us $20,000 Was it my first convention? It was in New Jersey.
Yes, that was in Eastland, New Jersey.
Yes,
yeah,
$20,000. And also the Hope Uzodinma came to that convention also and dropped $5,000. A lot of people came in and gave us money. I made sure that our proceeds, or rather our expenses, will be less than our revenue, so that we will have enough for people to share the money and get enough money. And I made sure I achieved that. I negotiated a lot of hotels, big hotels, with less, that charge us less. We had all our conventions were in all 5-star hotels during my presidency. The first one was in New Jersey. It was a big hotel, and I accommodated all of us. The second one
was in Renaissance Hotel, Eastland.
Renaissance. You remember, man? It looks like you've been keeping record more than me.
You're welcome, sir.
Well, so we went to, and the next one was, I believe, New Jersey, right?
That
was New Orleans. It was New Orleans. Yeah. New Orleans. Well, that's where I was supposed to be having the second election. But, the hotel was one of the best hotels in their downtown. And I negotiated it to very, very cheap. And all of us know how much we paid. So I negotiated that hotel as cheap as possible. And the next one was Austin. Austin hotel wasn't that fancy, but at least we did negotiate it reasonably. And the next one was big too, Chicago, a big hotel in downtown, and we did achieve a lot in there, and we paid less, and we made a lot of profit out of that hotel. Sometimes when I go to the convention during my time, and Charles knows that, I make sure I negotiate the food very down. I make sure I negotiate everything reasonable, because I'm looking at my pocket. I don't want to leave. I never wanted to leave a convention spending more than making more. We want to make more money than we spent. And I achieved that throughout the 4 years. And one of the good things also, during when I get out of office, the election, the audit did not find any fault in any of my my period. And I thank you guys for that, because you guys were also member of my team. So I'm very, very proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mazi Austin Akwa, can you
The Okwara years 2017 to 2021. Chief Tony Okwara made remarkable achievements, notwithstanding coming from a time of the worst pandemic of the 20th century. the COVID-19 pandemics. Remarkable achievements include reviving of the Youth Committee to improve youth activity, building of the organization's website to facilitate information dissemination and online payment, unifying of the various factions that developed during the acrimonious election of 2013. During his tenure, the Imo state government allocated land to the organization. The Women Committee activities grew bigger during his tenure. Chief Tony Okwara embarked on the supply of face masks and other palliatives to the 12 local government areas in Orlu zone. He initiated the bereavement program. The major challenge of the administration was the COVID-19 pandemic that grounded the activities that year.
That I fully joined and participated in was the one held in Miami.
2003?
No, I think it was 2006.
Okay.
That one did not it did not go scotch-free. It had its problems as well. They were going to pull the plug. The sponsor was going to pull the plug even a week or so before the convention.
Okay.
As the women leader, my son, who was always supportive, the VP, Dr. Ozu Nebu, you, as I fondly called you, Kofi Annan, taking Charles Anomodo as the secretary.
Deservedly so.
Yes. The treasurer did a good job. The financial secretary.
Do you remember their names?
No,
the treasurer was Joe Ben, right?
Yes, the treasurer was Joe Ben. The
Oleru.
Financial secretary, I think we had Chief Stanley Dike.
Yeah.
You know, there was only one position. I mean, a couple of positions we are not pulling their weight. However, as a leader, you know, you look for the strengths. You look for individuals with their strengths. And if there's anybody that's not pulling his or her weight, you work within the group to help lift the person. Because to me, I've always believed you work hard to get it done rather than to give excuses while it wasn't done. You
Mr.
work hard to
President,
get it done right. Because if you have to repeat it, it's costly and it's painful. But also, one of the things we did during my regime was going digital. Because the world was going digital, we went digital. I mean, we had, like you said, the patrons, the board chair folks. I mean, during my administration, I mean, we started engaging the youths. Like I said, my wife took care of the women wing, appointed a dynamic person, Mrs. Ijome Zadenka, who built the youths and took the youths, made the youth program what it is today. We also, I mean, changed a lot of things, the way things were being done, like the bus tour. I mean, all those things, we revamped Orausa's website. The one Deacon Charles was helping us run. And then when we also finally got some more information from Carlo Wenner, we extracted all those things and rebuilt Orausa website that is being used today. That was done during my regime. We introduced all those payment systems. I mean, we did a lot of things here with you guys' help. In my first term, it was Anomodo was one of the pillars. My second term, you know, you came in, just not for Even in my first term, there were issues, even emanating from my own local affiliates. You know, those pillars of Orausa had to step in when Atlanta was lacking behind or not moving with the same speed we are moving. during our first convention, I had to call on external forces outside of the executives because, again, I believe in doing whatever it takes to get the job done rather than to give excuses while it wasn't done. We summoned courage, called on a lot of people, and we were given the marching orders to move forward with or without Atlanta. And we had a successful convention in Atlanta in 2018. Reconciling and rebuilding Orausa website, it may look common today, but it was a Herculean task. Being able to go and get all those things together. The other day I was going through Orausa website and I saw the convention that was held in New York in 2010. I don't know if any of you have seen that. You go through that and look at all the folks that back then and look at us now. 13 years ago.
We have matured.
Call it that. That's good. Then also tenure in Chicago, the state government through Lawrence Bureau give us a piece of land in Orlu. You know, during my term, we worked. Paid all the duties for the place, and then started walling the place. You know, towards the completion, you know, that was when Ihedia came on board, and then that was when they put a stop work on it. Yes. But then it was when it was the mark came in, that was when it was completed. And
yes,
that place
and
was
he put the stop work. Yes.
Yes. You know, fortunately, you know, it was released, and at least the walling has been completed by this administration. And now we are moving forward with trying to at least get approvals to start the construction work on that place. But in terms of at least the activities that are going to be done there, again, I started during our regime, because I use this case our regime. You know, both of you were part of my regime. And then the women, one of the things at least they did was the motherless babies home. That was also an innovation from the First Lady, because one of the things that were just doing before then was the financial assistance to
women empowerment.
Yes.
Microfinance.
Yes. But then during my administration as well, they also modified it a little bit, because the people that were doing it before, it was difficult trying to get that money back from those guarantors. But when we put it in the hands of the women, they made it a little tighter in terms of the terms of reference to get that money and when to pay the money back. So the women managed it a lot better. You know, before, the money was being paid in dollars. You know, they gave them $1,000, but by the time it was time to pay back, the dollar equivalent, you know, had diminished. You saw somebody that may have received their $1,000 at the rate of, let's say 200 naira. But then when the person wanted to pay back, they pay back the $1,000 at the rate of 800 or so. So the money we were getting back was just not what comparable to what we gave. So no, this time the women changed it to naira. They were not giving dollars anymore. If you get, I think they changed it to 200,000 naira each. That's what you get. And I think that was probably done during Ezewike's time, but it was continued, you know, when I took over. But when I took over, that's when the women added the motherless babies home visit as one of the activities. Also, during my regime, we also strengthened the medical mission. You know, I went to every medical mission. I participated in every medical mission as the VP and also as the president. Even though I'm not a medical practitioner, I'm not in the medical line. But again, I always believe in buying any market that I want somebody to go sell for me. The second term was when COVID hit. You know, as such, we did a palliative. Again, you change when things around you change. And that's the mark of good leadership, the ability to change. I mean, the ability for you to look at what is going on without your company going out of business. And that happens when you have good people working with you. Like today, this oral bereavement program that is going on now actually started during my regime. But unfortunately, the assistant financial secretary who was tasked to develop that after I gave them the framework did not pull as much weight as she needed. The good thing is that when the new president came in, who was my VP, and who also followed along the same line with what I did, this is one good thing that's helped Aura in the past. In Nigeria, the government, any new government that comes in, abandons the other project that's been going on before, start their own new one. That's why you have a lot of unfinished projects. But we are lucky in Aura. Once a good path is set, the successive administrations look at what was going on, what the previous one did, and then build on it. And that's what is helpful. That's what has been helpful. When you have somebody who is the president, if the person came through the ranks as the vice president, because that means that person was part of the decision-making when he or she was the VP for that project. So that means that person would understand that project. It wasn't a new project for that person. If that person believed in that project when he or she was the VP, he wouldn't have any difficulty believing in that project as the president. So this oral bereavement program now that has kicked off in full speed started during my administration, or was birthed during my administration. But this administration now has taken it up. Actually, the first payment, we lost the first person, unfortunately. You know, we went to the wakekeeping, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago in New Orleans. The Agochukwu family was the first recipient of our bereavement program. This is a good program. Before, we used to have a Hartford insurance. And the older you get, the less money you will get from Hartford insurance. Not only that, they were not also covering a lot of states. So a lot of people did not want to get involved because of the Hartford insurance. But now, people are happy with the oral bereavement program that just got started. And unfortunately, we had to pay because we lost somebody. But that has also shown people that Aura means what they say. So hopefully next year, during the next enrollment season, we'll have more participants. So to come back to your question about brick and mortar, you know, capital projects, during my second term, we couldn't really do that because of COVID. I mean, the things you could do with COVID were mostly digital projects. And also, because of the insecurity that was at home as well, we couldn't do the medical mission. Even though we wanted to do it, but we couldn't do it. We did the palliative, even with the face mask here. Yeah, we distributed them amongst all the 12 local governments.
Okay.
Let's look out!
the Unebu years 2021 to 2025. Chief Dr. Uzo Unebu is the first medical doctor to emerge as the president of Orlu Regional Assembly. He had served as secretary and president of the organization's affiliates before emerging the national president in 2021. His achievements include the recovery of land in Orlu and also acquire more land for the organization, as well as awarding the construction of Orausa Multi-Purpose Center. The administration introduced the We Care Act, a program designed to support the sick and disabled members. In December 2021, the administration distributed about 115 bags of rice to the 12 local governments in Orlu. Orlu Regional Assembly Incorporated is happily celebrating its Silver Jubilee under the leadership of Chief Dr. Uzo Unebu.
Number two, of course, you have to have your door open to talk to people. Have that keen eye to look around to see who are those that will be interested to serve, and also be open to accepting people that will approach you and say they're willing to serve. For me, I did that. I went door to door during the Florida convention to let people know that in the future, I'm interested in running for the president of Ora USA. So that is when they opened their doors to me, and these are the leaders at the time, and they will welcome me, and they heard what I had to say, what I can provide, what I can bring to the table. So the same thing goes now. Second, we're already having the youths to join us during conventions. In Houston, the youths occupied the high table, and they were sponsors of the convention. So these youths are beginning to see what can be done, and they're beginning to see how this can fit in their lifestyle. So the current director of youth is a youth herself, 26 years old, and very eager to want to be able to serve, and she's doing an excellent job as a youth director. So this is what I see and how people are beginning to come and evolve over time. And definitely, me being where I am today, I say thanks to the past presidents. The past presidents, all five of them, are still my supporters, number one supporters. They're my cheerleaders. They always check on me. They always give me advice. They always give me ideas. And I bounce off ideas off of them, and they share their own experience within that idea. So I think in the future, with the future people coming, like the current vice president, he's going to be hearing more from me and more from. Let's start off with the facility that we're putting up, the multi-purpose facility, which will house a hall, a medical center, a gym, ample space, parking spaces. So this facility, at the stage with the timeline that we're using, I see this facility standing on a framework, being up without the walls, but just the pillars and the roof and everything should be up by our anniversary. Of course, once you get to that stage, it's going to be a done deal. We're going to complete it. And that's where I see this. The other one is the Emo Care Program, is an insurance scheme that is being run in Imo State. And it was presented to me by the Commissioner of Health in Imo State. And it's an organization. It's actually an organization that is running that. It's not a governmental. It's just a nonprofit that is running that. And this is where individuals will enroll by paying 15,000 naira, and then they can be able to receive medical care. Even if they up to the point they need surgery, or if they have chronic disease, they can get their medication. So I feel that I've dispatched the committees to look into this, to now look into how we can incorporate this into Ora USA to help our people back home. So imagine, again, this is just my thinking, imagine there are 2,000 eligible members in Ora USA from the different 12 local governments in Orlu, and we decide that we want to enroll 100 individuals from our own community per person. So you can imagine the number of people that will be enrolled into that program. So now, not everybody is going to be sick. Not everybody will need medical care. So, but there will be others that will need medical care. So with that fund, it will be able to help take care of the people back home. So the committee is looking into it to see how that will work. But I'm hoping during these next two years that I have, we can be able to roll that out.
To God be the glory.
Igwe, ijege, ijege, ijege. Amamike meme. Abreda peke tapara o. Chief Stanley Ifeanyi Chukwudike Senior.